Look at MeyMey. All of your problems are your own fault, but you really rose to the occasion. Welcome back to a wonderful review of Wonderful Precure episode 28. And we are off to the farm. This episode we are going Okuma Farm, and honestly I'm surprised we haven't had a farm episode sooner than this. I feel like it's pretty, I feel like we're definitely checking the boxes for all the either typical anime things to do, or we are going to what makes a lot of sense for the season. They did it last season too for Hodoguru Sky. They had like 1 or 2 airport episodes, which makes a lot of sense because the sky, we gotta do the sky thing. So I guess we're finally reaching the point we do our typical farm animal episode, of which we can see the excitement of our 2 characters matching their personalities. It makes sense that Kamuki's very excited and Yuki's like, I am just here because Mayu came here and I was not gonna let her go alone to the farm. And we have our classmate who has taken us to the farm. Of course, all of our classmates clearly do something very animal relevant. Makes sense. Clearly the secret mid-season. I mean, as someone who's a big Sunshine fan, we all know that sunflowers mean you're the mid-season cure. We get a nice little look at the sort of setup for the farm, which I find kind of interesting because I grew up in the country. Well, technically I grew up on the water, but we also had like farms. It was kind of a water farm situation. I also like that they have like a whole floral section at the bottom there. It's very, very cute. I also like that they did the overhead because this is important for something that Mayu points out. We talk about the flowers. We're like, oh, they have like all these flowers set up and they're very much on a grid pattern. And Mayu talks about how it looks like a quilt, which, you know, it's a fun way to bring in the fact that Mayu, you know, is into sewing and all that. But this is so true. Like, if you have ever, maybe it's a United States thing, I don't know. But if you fly in a plane and you look down at the fields, they definitely look like patchwork, especially because of like the sort of like runway look that they, the way they mow it. It very much looks like a quilt because you definitely see that people have very much squared off their land. But for this episode, we will be doing, it's interesting because they're doing like a little stamp rally to go through the farm, which I think is a kind of a fun way to just kind of knock everything out. However, I feel like there's so much to do at a farm, especially if it's like a farm that does multiple things. Because I mean, there's farms that are like, you go to a dairy farm, go to a horse farm, go to a sheep farm, and all the different like animals. And then some farms are just like straight up not animal relevant. Some of them are just like, we got corn. Like, let me tell you, there's a lot of farms where there's just corn. But this one, we do a little bit of everything, which is also perplexing as to why the farm is, like, on this. But again, it's just probably because it's a Japanese farm. Also, like, let me call out MeyMey here, because, like, MeyMey makes his life very hard for himself. I have never seen a character in a show so unapologetically cause his own misfortune. Especially, this is the character who's like, your identities must be secret. We must not let anybody see. MeyMey is like the worst quote-unquote fairy character we've ever had in the franchise because this guy, he be getting caught. Like, everyone knows MeyMey can talk. Like, everyone, like, catches MeyMey walking around on 2 legs. MeyMey, I am impressed that you, of all characters, just constantly get caught. Constantly get caught. Man, your ancestors are like, who are not keeping this secret very well. Like, he's worse than the Cures are, and our Cures are pretty bad at keeping secrets. Like, Iroha had a whole episode dedicated to her not being good at keeping secrets, and she's holding out better than you, MeyMey. He also very unapologetically last episode just rolled up and is like, I'm going to join you now. MeyMey, please. I also do love the fact that MeyMey wanted to go around and do all the farm things. Like, he's very excited about the prospect of the farm, which I feel like makes sense because his whole purpose in the garden is just to take care and look after all of the different animals in it. But no fun times for you, MeyMey. We do get to see the cows, of which I will point out, I'm not going to take too many screenshots of the animals because, listen, when they're not putting, like, dazzling eyelashes on these animals, some of them look real ugly. I'm not going to blame the animators too much because animals are really hard to draw. Like, I'm not sitting here drawing animals. They are hard to draw. I will 100% like acknowledge that. But some of the animals in this episode, they look really ugly. Some of the cows are okay. Also, this just takes me back because I've deep dark confession. I was a horse girl. I did a lot of horseback riding when I was little because it was convenient. And I just remember the like how much time, effort, and items it was required to take care of animals. Like, I had like 50 different brushes to take care of the horse. Hard brush, you had your soft brush, you had your round brush. There were so many brushes. You had your like hoof pick. You had so many tools that you need. I own so many tools, and I think I still find them every so often when I dig through the attic. my parents' attic, and I just find all of these tools that I had as a child to take care of horses. Probably should have donated those, to be honest. But I think it's really cute that we get a little backstory for our girl. And just her little farm life and just how much it's been a part of her. Like, you know, when you live on a farm, you take care of the animals and you wake up way too early. It's, you know, it's like a love to the labor. And then we get to milking a cow, which they're like, you do it gently. I'm gonna sit here and bring back everybody's favorite. Actually, you're supposed to just, it's like toothpaste. You just gotta like be thorough. It's not about like gentle. You definitely don't want to go fast, but like, I mean, you get faster when you pot. But it's like a toothpaste where you just gotta make sure you like get it all out thoroughly. Like Iroha gets it. Iroha understands. And I love that they do this very like kind of DIY ice cream thing, because we just had like a little machine where we would take like cow's milk, stick it in the machine. We would clarify it a little. We wouldn't want to have it completely raw, but I like that they do this where they just do it on ice. Like, this is genuinely like the way that a lot of the super easy DIY ice cream makers go, is that usually you just have it in like a cold thing where the ice is on the outside and it just freezes whatever drink you put inside of it. Because I know they have like all those tubes where you stick the liquid in, like you can turn Sprite into ice cream. Ugh, the world has given us too much power. But yeah, it's really good though, because it's super creamy, because most of regular consumed milk is usually like watered down more. Oh, you have stuff like 2% stuff. It's closer to like heavy whipping cream, so don't have too much of this. It's very fattening, but it's very, very creamy and delicious. And even I like that Yuki has like this whole obsession, which is just a reminder. Cats, when they're like really, really tiny, can have milk, but also you need to be careful what type of milk you're giving them. But like eventually their digestive system is like, we are now lactose intolerant. So at least in her human form, she's like, this stuff is pretty good. This is some good ice cream. Like, I'm into it. And Mayu, being the little angel she is, sharing more with her. If I was Mayu, I would not be sharing, let's be real. This is offensive to me. Like, they go around the farm and they start hanging out with all the animals. As a horse girl, I feel like we were robbed of a horse girl episode. I hope we come back and have a true horse girl episode. I love that, like, in this, I'm gonna have two of these. I have Satoru and Iroha here just chatting. But once Yuki has proven herself a true equestrian girl, the two of them are like, what? Look at Yuki go. Oh, we were robbed. We were robbed of a horse episode. And we have the Sheepdog show, which, to put it out here real quick for Sheepdog, it's kind of insane because, like, for dogs that are, like, herding dogs, dude, you put them near sheep and they're like herding mode activated. Like, it really is you don't really train them. They just herd. Like, they move around. They're like, I like it when the sheep go where I tell them to. I like it when they bunch up together. It's wild. Herding dogs are like next level. Like, it's in their genes. I guess it's kind of like how cats, if you put them out in the wild, they will just their hunting skills are, what am I thinking of? What's the word? Like an instinct. They'll just gain their hunting skills back. Not all animals do this, but cats do specifically. If they are thrown into the wild, they will learn how to hunt and feed and fend for themselves. And conversely, manatees cannot. Just fun fact of the day. I know it's completely random, but manatees cannot do that. Don't feed manatees ever. It's really bad to feed manatees. Don't interact with manatees at all. It's actually very illegal in most places. Don't interact with manatees. And we see Andy. We have seen Andy before. And we are back at it again with our boy Andy, who is going to herd sheep. And reminder, the reason why I'm not putting a lot of these animal screenshots in here is because they're so ugly. I'm sorry, but these sheep can be cute. I want you to know that real sheep are very adorable, but these are ugly. These are ugly sheep. I'm offended by these sheep. So look at MeyMey, Precious Bean. He can say he's not a sheep, but he is technically, I guess he's a ram, but nonetheless, he's in the sheep family. Surprised that they didn't call him a ram because he's got horn. But yeah, we are a little surprised to see our MeyMey. I love that everyone is shocked, but Kamugi's like, yes, MeyMey, run! And she enlists the random children to cheer too. And Satoru, like, I know Iroha will just join the bandwagon, but Satoru, of course, Mayu. Yuki is the only person who's like, what are we doing? What are we doing right now? But MeyMey powers through it. He gets herded. Rats. Look how happy he is. Look at MeyMey. All of your problems are your own fault, but you really rose to the occasion. He just looks so silly sitting down. Like, look. My little dork over here. MeyMey. And also, this is so funny to me because he's sitting here like, I could have been doing all of my things with my boys. Like, I think this is us, the audience, being like, we wish Satoru was the mid-season cure. This could be us if Satoru was the mid-season cure. Oh, even MeyMey, like of all the animals on the farm, MeyMey included a horse. MeyMey wants to hang out with horse. Same. MeyMey horse girl confirmed. But you know, we gotta have the episoding, so we see our garu, which is, I guess it's an alpaca. To be honest, I don't really know the difference between llamas and alpacas. I know that there is one, and I should know, but we don't have those in my area. Also, I think I'm looking at where they put the collar, like it makes sense that they put the collar there, but that's such a dorky place to put the collar. It looks so silly. Long-necked animals are goofy, not gonna lie. I also like this bit where Satoru's like, yeah, I'll explain it to you. And Lillian's like, oh, do tell. But the llama slash alpaca is like, no, focus up. Also, I said it before, I'll say it again because they keep doing it. Why are all the animals, why are they all spitting? I'm so tired. We gotta come up with something new. This is like the 4th or 5th one that can spit. I'm done. I think we need variety, and we need variety right now. And the variety is no longer spitting. No more spitting! I don't want any more of these spitting animals. Put it away. Also, I think this is one of the first times, correct me if I'm wrong, that we've had we've had a regular civilian get involved outside of like Satoru. Outside of him, we have regular civilians impacted by the fight, because usually everybody kind of just like leaves whenever the fight starts. It's been very weird that people are like, oh yeah, there's just these giant purplish black monsters that run around town occasionally. Some girls and Lolita come and save us. Like, people really just like don't acknowledge that the Precure exist or the garu exist in this universe. It's kind of wild, but also we've already seen that before where it's like Animal Town is just so quirky. Weird stuff happens in Animal Town. Just normal Animal Town behavior. Wild. Absolutely wild. We also get to use once again the best power-up, the only power-up we should use for the kitty animals. Lillian gets to use the wings. I mean, I'm just saying that if we could have used all the hamster last episode, everyone could have gotten wings. I'm not wing biased, even if I wing my eyeliner. I'm not wing biased. I just think they should use the wing more. It's the prettiest power-up. And we save it. See, look, now that looks pretty. Now we have a pretty little animal. Because when they are part of the Nico Garden, they are just, they must be, it's a requirement. They must be cutesy and have really good eyeliner. They gotta have good mascara. It's just, this is how the Nico Garden animals have to be. Once again, I want you to take a moment to look at MeyMey. I want you to take a look at this little guy who keeps messing up. He keeps coming in here and he's like, let me just talk and hang out and cheer. And boom, a person walks in and it's like, you better hide, MeyMey, because you nearly keep giving away everything. But we wrapped up our little stamp rally. We had a fun day at the farm. And we get stickers. I want to again say that the animals look horrible. The horse looks fine, the dog looks fine, they've gotten training. That calf is horrific though. Those first of all, I feel like they just gotta not draw animals looking head on because the eyes are really far apart. And it takes skill to make it look not horrible. Like that pig's seen better days. The mama cow's looking better. The sheep here are a little bit more, but like that alpaca, I'll pack your bags, you need to leave. And we get a little photo of everybody at the farm. And then MeyMey, cheeky little MeyMey out here, causing problems once more. MeyMey. Nonetheless, we all had fun at the farm. Now, let us talk about the preview for the next episode. So there's a couple of things I want to address as I go into this, because normally I don't spend too much time on the previews. But it seems like we've kind of reached a turning point in the series. We've technically speaking passed the halfway mark, but there's a lot of information that we have at this point in the series that I personally have mixed emotions on, but spoilers ahead, because we're gonna, like, light spoilers ahead for the content in the series. It's not leaks, but it's going to be spoilers for what is to the direction the story is going to go and the things that are going to happen. So if you want to go completely blind from this point forward, I'm going to put this as, like, just a future discussion area for the stuff we do know and what we don't know. With the leaks, summaries, and episode titles we have moving forward, we know that we are moving, very light spoiler here, moving towards our power-up, which is why, like, I'm blown away that this preview, first of all, has showcased Nico hatching from the egg, because normally, like, when you have some big event like this occur, I thought they would save, like, the debut of Nico for the actual episode, because they really haven't leaked Nico's form in too many locations that are accessible. So, some stuff that we got. We did have an interview with the director, Masanori Sato, specifically talking about the future of the series. So some of the information we gained from here will answer some of the questions before I get into, like, what the sort of doom and gloom of the fandom has been thus far. which this interview came before this episode with the previews that come, so everything that we see from this preview is just like continues to go with what we believe is going to happen anyways. Masanori addressed that although some may feel each episode lacks drama compared to the previous Precure series, each episode has been essential to the story, which I have enjoyed. I will say that, like, for what has been kind of lower stakes in this series, like, it doesn't feel like there's been a super big bad in this franchise. I have not minded that on the grounds that every episode, save a couple that we've just gone through, have been very, like, plot focused. Like, we felt like the story is moving through. Even if it stayed more character focused and we've had more character drama, it felt like that was drama that was moving, which I'm fine with. I've been happy that it's been story driven if it's not going to be, like, enemy driven. I feel like it's very opposite to something like Delicious Party, where that was more driven by the events of the villains and what they were going through and their motivations, more so than it was about the characters and their own personal drama. So I feel like this is a pretty big flip-flop from that, and I'm happy with it. However, the interview also states that for the second half of this series, the villains are going to be more prevalent and they're going to be more visible and things are going to be heavier paced, which is my biggest thing. Like, for what I'm going to address later, my biggest fear for the second half of the series, knowing some of the stuff that we know and some of the stuff we theorize, I was worried that the second half of the series was going to get very stale. But it seems that they said that they're going to put an emphasis on trying to up the tempo, which is what I need to hear in order to be compensated for what we are not likely to receive. We do have confirmation that the story will portray more of the drama regarding Satoru's feelings towards Iroha, which I don't know what that's going to entail. That I think also opens the door to a lot of different theories as well. I hope it means that we will get more romance than we have in most any other Precure season. Precure has never been a franchise that has favored romance, so I'm hoping that this is our doorway to having more romance and potentially seeing the other side of that. I would love to see it flip-flop and that, like, Iroha pick up on his feelings and Iroha have to, like, work through those feelings in a light towards romance. I like to see that. I'd rather it not be her being like, oh, I don't have feelings for him and I don't know what to deal with, and then, like, at the last second realize she has his feelings. Don't want it to go that direction, but we'll see what happens. We also addressed the heart mark that was on the back of Yuki and Kamugi. The only reason that was there was for toys. That was 100% a toy decision, which is very frustrating to me because it also means that there will not be a talking Daifuku, which will build into what I talk about in a bit. Masanori Sato also stated that the garu garu being eggs was not, like, a deep thing. There's nothing too much to that other than just something that kids can enjoy and understand how the garu garu, like, burst into existence. But there is more truth to be told in regards to the garu garu and its backstory, which I think from what we've seen with this preview, coming down to finally having general villains, which I'm very excited. We don't know, like, I think there's an implication that these have both a humanoid form and then their animal counterparts, which is very much reminiscent of, like, traditional Precure. At least in that, like, middle section. Like, I think Go Princess did stuff like this. You have a little bit of that, I think, in Mile Precure as well. We have our generals, which I don't think we have too much confirmation on what they're supposed to, like, what animals they might represent. There's also, in the summary, explains that they all got, technically speaking, turned into wolves to be part of our big bad's wolf army. But they're really pretty. Like, these are such fantastic villain designs, and I'm so excited about them. I really, like, I just think they're gonna add what we need in this series, what we've been missing. I also think this brings up the one thing that a lot of people have wanted, which is this could mean we get fights now. We may be in the dimension where we actually do some hand-to-hand combat, which I just think Precure in general, their team, especially for crossover movies, it needs to know how to fight a little bit. I think they need to know how to fight a little bit, which also means we could, in the very near future, I think people are theorizing episode 31 could have a new opening where they do something different, which, I mean, I won't say no to a new opening, like, mix it up a little bit, a lot. And we get this closer look at our big bad, so it is going to be interesting to see the direction. Like, I am having, after especially with this preview, I think it was very necessary for the way that things have been a little doom and gloom this past week in the fandom, specifically in regards to what I've been building up to talk about, which is the mid-season and or lack of a mid-season character. At this point, there is no implication that Nico-sama will be the mid-season. There's much stronger implication, especially confirmation, that Nico-sama's existence will be for the power-up devices. there's nothing pointing to the direction of Nico-sama being a cure, but also there is next to nothing pointing to Satoru or Daifuku being cures, as well as the fact that it's getting very late in the season. We are getting close to episode 30, and usually by that point would be like the latest point we'd ever have anybody become an additional cure, and we, to my knowledge, have never had an additional cure. If we've had a second, like a latter half season movie, we typically do not have any mid-season close to that. Like, Majesty, I think, is one of our latest ones that we've ever had, but I have to go back and, like, count episodes, because I do think, like, Moonlight, I think, was also in the latter half, but we knew Moonlight in Heartcatch. I, on a personal level, am not super happy about that. I'd rather take a mid-season character than a power-up, but given the fact that they have stated, thankfully, that this series is supposed to ramp up, I think I'll let it go. I think I might be able to live. I'm gonna be sad. Let me trust and believe I will be sad. But I think I can let it slide if they can keep it interesting, because my biggest complaint for the lack of a mid-season is I do think it lets the writing get stale. And I'm saying that specifically, I'm gonna have to bully Smile Precure a little bit here. It's a good season, but I do think that Smile Precure for me gets very stale after the middle of the series, because it feels like there's just not conflict. They just keep solving all their problems, and it's pretty easy. It only really ramps up at the very, very end, but like the middle of that series feels very the same. It does not really ever feel like things get particularly hard, or that they struggle, or that anything just changes. Like all the like you could just rearrange all the episodes in the middle of the series, and outside of a power-up, you can't really tell the difference. You can't really see dramatic change, especially in some of the characters that don't get a lot of focus. And so, even in seasons where I feel like the mid-season character has not been like the most interesting addition to the team, I feel like those series still really benefit from having a change in the dynamic. I feel like it reshuffles the way the characters behave with each other, and I prefer when we've had that just dynamic change to the show. So I'm not super psyched that this might be the first season in quite some time where we have genuinely no mid-season cure and we just had characters added late. I'm hesitant to see what happens. I'm still holding out a little bit of hope that we get like a Satoru Daifuku. Like, I don't need them to be like big, bold mid-season characters, but like them having a power-up, even if it's the last episode, I'm begging you, let them be cures. But I'm holding out hope. I think they're also just going to write this better. I think with the addition of the villains, they're going to keep it fresh. I don't think it's going to get particularly stale, but we will see. And overall, like, if anything else, if Toei has pulled the wool from under us, and they managed to hide some, like, really cool mid-seasons, or they managed to pull off a really, really good plot, I'm here for it. I'm also glad that we are addressing the villain plot not at the last second. I think that was, again, my complaint for, specifically, I'll be honest, Hodoguru Sky Precure. I love the way that our villain story went, but I feel like it was just so late in the season that it could have been discussed earlier. I think same with Tropical Rouge. I feel like that conversation just started a little later than it should have. At this point, it feels like we are going to start addressing the backstory of the villains. And it feels like we're not doing it at the last minute, so I'm happy. So for what I don't think I'm going to get, I think there's going to be stuff that compensates. So, after that long rambling, this concludes my review of episode 28 and the future of where the series will go. And, may we have some mini surprises in store for us in the future. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye!